The following contest is scheduled for one fall and is for the Undisputed Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to BCW. As you just heard, it is now time for our main event. That's right, Brandon Elliott is finally getting his one-on-one shot against our BCW champion, Frankie, and it will be for the BCW Championship. This is what Brandon has been striving for from day one since he arrived here on the scene in BCW. After his first match on the first night he was here, he declared that he was going to be in the #1 contenders match the very next week. He did take that opportunity. However, he was attacked that night by the BCW champion. That was, of course, Frankie. Now, Frankie told the world that the reason he attacked Brandon was because he felt that Brandon was being disrespectful. However, since that night, Frankie has done nothing but show disrespect to Brandon, as Brandon has time after time accepted whatever challenge Frankie has thrown his way. Well, tonight, Frankie is not able to weasel his way out, as he does have to face one-on-one this man in Brandon Elliott, our current #1 contender. And now, as you hear, making his way to the ring is our BCW champion, Frankie Carter. Frankie has been the reigning champion for more days than I care to count. Over a year as the BCW champion. He has had many challengers, including both members of what is now known as the Syndicate. But no one has yet been able to dethrone this man. Frankie has recently begun using underhanded tactics and doing whatever it takes to be able to retain his championship. Now, I'm all for using whatever methods necessary. However, when you have to lose your morals just to be able to keep the belt, you have to wonder, are you really the champion at that point? We will find out tonight as he goes one-on-one with Brandon Elliott. He will not have the help of the Syndicate in any way, as they have once again been banned from ringside. If they get involved in any way, shape, or form, it has been stated by our general manager that Frankie will automatically forfeit the BCW Championship. That's right. If the Syndicate in any way gets involved tonight, there will be a new champion in Brandon Elliott. Now, let's get this match underway.
Introducing the challenger from Orlando, Florida, weighing in at 275 pounds, the anarchist, Brandon Elliott. Introducing the champion from New York, weighing in at 292 pounds, he is the Undisputed Champion, Frankie Carter.
That's right, Frankie Carter is our BCW champion. But will that still be the case tonight after going one-on-one here with Brandon Elliott? As Frankie hands off the title, the referee shows it to Brandon Elliott. But Brandon, as you see, very focused here tonight, not taking his eyes off of Frankie because he knows in the past that has caused him trouble. Has Brandon learned enough over the last few weeks of watching and working against Frankie to be able to defeat him here tonight? And right off the bat, Brandon going for that scoop slam, but is quickly reversed by Frankie, just planting the head of Brandon there. Oh, and now dropping him on his shoulders, going for the cover already, one, but not enough as Brandon kicks out. Frankie trying to go for that quick cover there, but it did not pay off as Brandon was quickly able to kick out. And both these men just tying up here. Frankie going for the headlock and then just smashing his fist into the face of Brandon Elliott there. And now Brandon returning the favor with a few kicks. Oh, and as we saw just the other night, Frankie knocking Brandon outside. Now the time before, it was a triple threat match for the championship, and Frankie threw his entire body into Brandon Elliott, knocking him outside the ring. Oh, and then Brandon with that maneuver that we've become very familiar with, just using his opponent's momentum to just flip them over and slamming them down onto the ground there. Several straight punches to the face there by Brandon Elliott. Oh, and into a cutter, and then lifting Frankie up off the mat, just wrenching back on the neck there. That is a very painful hold. And you can see as Frankie just grabs his chest and neck area there. And now going for a headlock of his own. Oh, and just wrenching back on the neck there. And both of these men fighting. And now Brandon with the headlock and then just going for the punch and missing wide there. I'm not sure what happened there as Frankie runs that elbow into the face of Brandon there in the corner. Frankie again going for the cover a little earlier in the match. 1. And again, only getting a 1 count as Brandon quickly kicks out. Brandon rolling out of the way. Frankie ducking under. Both men just ducking and dodging tonight. And oh, just hitting him right there in the midsection. Oh, and then tossing Brandon around the ring here. Frankie dragging him into the middle of the ring. And then a nice flip, landing his body directly on the midsection of Brandon Elliott. And now going up top, what's Frankie looking for? Oh, it does not pay off as Brandon Elliott is able to get his knees up at the last second there. Oh, but Brandon very quickly making him pay for it with revelation there, just taking Frankie down to the mat. Will that be enough? 1, 2. No, not enough as Frankie is able to get the shoulder up, but it was a very close count. Almost getting the 3 there, and I think Brandon thought that was going to be enough, but it was not, and he should not be surprised as there is a good reason that Frankie Carter has been our champion for the last year now. Oh, and Brandon just going for those consecutive headbutts and just dragging Frankie back up by the head. We saw him use that particular maneuver last week as he was in the ring with Roger Valentine, and it was very successful on the big man there. So I see him using that again here tonight against our champion, Frankie Carter. Oh, and those just vicious chops there in the corner. And again, both these men just back and forth, constantly one-upping the other and throwing him into the corner. Now Frankie lifting Brandon up to the top rope. Oh, and then just that nice drag there, pulling Brandon off the top rope. Not even a 1 count though, as Brandon kicks out very quickly. Oh, and just those stiff forearms there to the face. Oh, and then a nice drop kick to the back, dropping Brandon down to the mat very quickly, and then a hard sling into the turnbuckle there. Frankie just taking a moment to taunt Brandon here, but it does not pay off as Brandon quickly back to his feet with these running clotheslines. Frankie goes for one of his own, and then Brandon with the tilt-a-whirl backbreaker there, taking Frankie down very hard on that back. Oh, and Brandon again with the cutter, and this one with authority as he hits it all. Now going up to the top rope. Oh, and then Frankie, as Brandon did before, Frankie able to get the knees up there to block Brandon as he was coming down. And that is a very painful landing for Brandon there. Oh, and a nice flip there by Frankie, just taking Brandon over. Frankie going back up top, taking a moment, just daring Brandon to get up as Brandon slowly back to his feet. And then Frankie lands on the shoulders, but Brandon catches him there. And now putting him back on his shoulders into the Samoan drop, and a nice move there. What's Brandon looking for? Oh, it doesn't matter as Frankie there just pops up and just decks Brandon with that hard fist there to the face. Brandon rolled outside, slowly getting back to his feet. Oh, now Frankie flipping him over. And what's he going for here as Frankie rolls back in the ring? Brandon grabbing him by the ankles and then dropping that neck on the ropes there. Oh, and a very interesting maneuver. Oh, and the flip over into the cradle. 2, no! As Frankie kicks out at the last moment there. That was a very interesting sequence there from Brandon Elliott. Just showing exactly why he deserves to be in this championship match tonight. And then going off the top rope, and he hits it this time after that beautiful maneuver. Will this be enough as he goes for the cover? 1, No, Frankie Carter kicking out at the very last second. The ref making sure that we all knew that that was only 2 because it looked very, very close to being a 3 count there. Brandon slinging Frankie across the ring. Oh, and then that running clothesline just knocking him down very hard there on the back of his neck and shoulders. Both these men just going at one another at the same time. Oh, and Brandon, what again? Oh, tossing Frankie up into the air and catching him with the cutter there. Just a very, very interesting set of moves here, as Brandon has more than once shown us a different version of the cutter here tonight. Oh, and then Frankie running the ropes, dropping on the shoulders, and then just flipping Brandon over there. Very impressive set of moves there by Frankie Carter. And Frankie just jeering the crowd here, daring them to cheer louder. And Frankie going for the cover. 1, 2, no. Wow. That is impressive. At this point in the match, Brandon Elliott still kicking out before the count of 2. That just shows you how much fight he has in him at this point. And what is Frankie going to have to do to put Brandon Elliott away as Frankie goes up top once again, calling for Brandon to stand up, just daring him as Frankie goes for the dive and the flip. Oh, and no, Brandon again catching him in midair and then just slamming him down there. What's Brandon go for here as he tosses him to the outside of the ring? Oh, and then just that stiff forearm there. Brandon going up top on his own here, and then that beautiful dive there off the top rope to the outside. That is a long way down, folks. And I can assure you that neither man is going to be feeling good after that move. Brandon just picking Frankie up. Oh, and then Frankie with a nice kick to the midsection there. Oh, Brandon returning the favor, just dropping the elbow there on the knee. Again, both of these men just constantly back and forth all night long here tonight on BCW in this BCW Championship match. And the referee is now up to a count of 6, and Brandon has to get this match back in the ring, as if he does not, he can lose this match here tonight. Frankie has broken the count and is now going back outside, taking up those steel steps. If he hits Brandon here, that will disqualify him from the match. Oh, as Brandon stops the steps at the last moment. It almost looked as if Frankie was trying to get himself disqualified there, or maybe just thinking that he had to do whatever it took and hoping that the referee would let it continue, since this is a BCW Championship match. Again, the referee up to a count of 7. Frankie rolling back in. Will he take the count out as the ref reaches a count of 8? No. Again, Frankie breaking the count here, and just now with those vicious punches there. And the referee starts the count again. And now Frankie going under the ring, grabbing a chair. If he hits Brandon with this, it is over. Oh, and Brandon out of the way. No. And then Frankie with that stiff shot there to the head, and now just continuing to smash on Brandon there with the chair. And this is just enough. Frankie just with the repeated chair shots there. And this match is over, folks. I am so sorry. I hate to end it here, but that is going to end this match here tonight. And once again, Brandon is screwed out of a BCW Championship match. And folks, I can assure you, you are going to want to tune in next week, as Brandon Elliott will not take this lying down. I can guarantee it. So make sure to join us live here next week on BCW.